Okay, so before I get into all this, I'm here to share my experiences, right? To let people know what I've been through and what they can expect or not. Right? And I sure as hell ain't the final authority in anything. And just because I say something doesn't make it true for somebody else. And there may be things that I don't like about what's happening in this distribution for me, but it doesn't mean that it makes SUSE a bad thing for the people, because they have the okay. So there's no point in coming on, watching my video and moving on saying, complaining about my review of SUSE, because it's not going to be as good as I'd like it to be. I really like SUSE to be the way it was before. And if you're telling me that I'm an old timer, well, I have news for you. Someday you're going to say the same thing. But I'm just going to say what I like and what I don't like about SUSE. One thing I did like about SUSE was when you first go there, there's a big button that says Get SUSE Now, and you click on that button, and they have a web-based wizard that'll get you to what you want. And I decided I was going to try 64-bit. This is the first time I've tried 64-bit. Of course, I just got this 64-bit computer, but of all the installation I've done, this is the only 64-bit installation that I have on my computer. I've got like 5 or 6 different operating systems installed on it. So I downloaded it, and it took a reasonable amount of time to get here. So it took about half an hour. And I was able to do it from a live KDE-based CD. So it was only 600 megabytes, and so I didn't have to waste a DVD for a CD-sized file, and it used up most of the CD. Some thought was put into what they put in there. The install went smoothly and well for 11.3, and 11.2 I couldn't even... I had to consider whether I wanted to install it and consider whether... My plan would have been, if I couldn't get a graphical user interface, I was going to go into Ubuntu and mount my SUSE partition and put the binary file that ATI provides with a driver set that I'd already downloaded, put it into my partition, run it from the line, and then see if I can get X working. And if I couldn't get X working, it would be end of story. 11.3, they were able to at least handle this computer, so that wasn't an issue. But it was a concern to start with. The install went smoothly and quickly. The only thing I don't like about the install, that there's a feature that used to be present that isn't there anymore. Let's see if I'm still going. Yeah. I'm a thirsty guy. There's a feature in there that used to be, if you hadn't tried it, you wouldn't really know to do it. There used to be a feature that when you'd stick the SUSE CD in, you'd boot and you'd pick install, even though you didn't want to install. After you got through the first basic set of questions about the install, you can choose to boot the installed system. It would actually boot your installed system. You couldn't boot in at all. If your grub was broken, and you had no way to get into any operating system that would get you into Linux to go back and fix your grub, that's the way you'd get back in. Well, it doesn't have that anymore. I thought it was a very strong feature that they had. Another strong feature that SUSE is missing right now is SAX. And I saw some people complaining about the fact SAX wasn't in there, and the only response was just that no one was maintaining it, and it was old and quote-unquote, etc., etc. Well, again, that's a reflection on the chaos in the underlying system. If it was just a matter of incorporating improvements and moving forward, okay, then SAX would still work, right? So anyway, SAX is not included in here. So either it's going to work or it's not, but SAX isn't going to make it work for you. just the fact that Xorg is going to just work. And I will say that in some regards, Xorg seems to just work more often than not. There's less tinkering required if you actually installed it and it actually works. Xorg, if it doesn't work, it's because you're missing a driver. With x86, if it didn't work, it's because you didn't generate an x86 config file. You know, it's like that. You can probably get away with not even having an Xorg config file. So I've read. Nonetheless, I'm talking an awful lot about video, but that's the deal. So the install went fairly quickly. I'd say it took about 10 minutes. And the system seems to be just a little bit more faster, has a little more oomph compared to what I'm used to with the 32-bit. It seems to be a little more sleek than 32-bit Ubuntu, so I'm saying that just on the slightest, almost barely noticeable level, 64-bit will give you a little bit more performance. In some cases, in others, no. Now, after I finished the install of SUSE, I just wanted to see if I could mount my other partitions and go into them, and here, the mechanism to get to your partitions has changed over time, but basically, there's a My Computer thingamabob here, and then over here on the right, if I clicked on this, see, now it's unresponsive. In earlier versions of SUSE, I'd click on that and it would actually mount my Fedora partition. It won't now. And earlier, before I applied some patches, I would click on that and it would ask me that the program I needed to run this program was not installed, that I want to download it. No, that's the kernel. Okay, the kernel comes with drivers that allows you to mount those things. And since all those partitions were had used the same file system as the one I'm on, the driver was already installed, so that was completely untrue. Okay. Then that happened. Then I noticed there were just a couple times errors would come up, and I had no idea why. Okay, I mean, just udevs, and it seems like there's some kind of hidden mess going on in the background you just can't see. Then it wanted me to do the updates, so I did all the updates, but the updates took a long time, and then it wanted to install OpenOffice. And if the application you want to install of the internet is maybe 10 megabytes or less, it'll come in within a reasonable amount of time. But if you're talking about OpenOffice, it could take a half an hour to get the damn thing to download. Who wants to wait for that? And the theme today, the theme of annoyance that I have with SUSE right now, is that it just takes too damn long to install apps, and it's just too hard to get the repository set up, and it's not really apparent as to how that works. And there's too many repositories. Just, and compared to Ubuntu runs circles around the speed in which things are installed, and the number of apps that are available that you would want to use far exceeds. Is a greater depth in Ubuntu. Apparently, the Guvcview is not that well known out in Linux land. There's just a lot of people that just don't mess around with webcams at all. But the Guvcview is probably the best you're going to do, besides to use Linux to make an audio and video together, unless you're using your Droid, which is what I'm doing now. But and it's based on another program called Guvcview, which will start and create a clear picture, but how you capture a file is beyond me. Okay. Now in here, every time I would want to install something just small, I'd always be inundated with a whole slew of programs that it wanted to install on top of what I already had. So earlier today, I was working at the other desk. I given up, and I put SUSE, I think 11.2 on that other one, 32-bit. It's an older computer, but it's the one that looks like that brown one down there, but it's the one that has the different video driver. It's able to take SUSE 11.2. And so I was just setting up my Samba, my CIFS mount client, my Samba server, so you can get to the files in the server there. And I used to embed that script in the Samba startup script and have Samba running on each desk, but today I found out I could have it separate, and I could pretty much use the Ubuntu script I had and just keep it intact and use it in SUSE in the same place in the initd directory, and just run a different command, and it'll load up the Samba share and mount it if you give it enough time. Well, but before I changed my mind and done that with just keeping the CIFS client alone, the only reason why I had the motivation to try to see if that script would run alone is because all I did is select Samba to install, and now I got a half an hour of downloads waiting in front of me, and it's the middle of the day. I said, okay, Jack, all I'm going to do is do a quick setup of this program you need to use in Linux, because it'll get trashed in Windows 7. It's an older version of Macinity, and we know this. And so you got to run it in Linux under Wine. Downloading Wine only takes a few minutes, and that's it. So then you do the install. It shouldn't take that long. And then I just got to be able to mount, because it's a network client, so I got to get the program off the server to install the access files in the server. The data files are integrated with the program. So I go to do that. I got a half an hour ahead of me, so it wasn't a short thing. Finally got that done, and then I try to install the video cameras, and I'll get to that on my next one.